girls, welcome to, where are you? Where you guys are? We're at Ms.Etta's Academic Corner. We love to read, and we're going to read a book, and we want you to join us. And my name is Judah Jr., and I'm Judah Sr. Why you sound like me? I'm Judah Sr. Oh, there you go. Okay, boys and girls, they're going to have a seat right here. That's right. Lay your head right there. And Junior, you lay on your dad. You put your paw right there. You know, sometimes when you read a story, you want to just sit next to somebody, so they like to sit next to each other. So, boys and girls, we have an adventure with Curious George, and he's where? At the aquarium. And what's at the aquarium? Animals that are in the water. Can you think of any? Look what we have here. You see that? That's a penguin. We see some water here. We see Curious George. But before we open the book, what are we going to do? We're going to bend the book, and this is a softback book, remember? And we're going to look at the front, and we're going to look at the back. In the front, we see what colors? We see red, we see blue, we see yellow, we see black, we see brown, and we see white. And what do we see on the back? We see a game. And that's another maze. Some of Curious George's books have maze on them. And this one is an aquarium maze where George starts here and he's got to make his way to the baby penguin. So you see that? So you know how a maze works. You got to take that pencil and go around till you can get there. So that's one game. In the inside of the book, there's another game, and it's word scrabble. So what's a word scrabble? Word scrabble is where the words are all jumbled up, mixed up, and you've got to take these words and put them in the right order to make a word. And these words are going to come from the book. So as you're reading, pay attention to what you're reading. So if you get the book, you can figure out how to unscrabble these words. And at the bottom here, there's like a little coloring section. You can color these animals that are in the aquarium. You can color them the color that they are, or you can color the color of your imagination. So you don't have to color them the color that's in the book. Whatever you feel like, whatever color you want to make them, you can make them. Now, this one also has fun facts. You can read about different types of fishes, like the African black-footed penguin, which is the only penguin that's originally from Africa. I didn't know that. And you have the piranhas, the starfish. So if you want some facts about fishes, you can read this also inside. So now we're going to look at this. The author is Margaret and H.A. Rays, and the illustrator is illustrated in the style of H.A. Ray by Vipa Interactive. And who is the illustrator again? The illustrator is the person or persons that makes the drawings in the book, right? And the author is the person that writes the words. Very good. Yeah, that's good, Judah Jr. and Judah Sr. Now, what does this book says? This is George. He was a good little monkey and always very curious. Today, George and the man with the yellow hat were visiting the aquarium. If you've read or heard some of Curious George's books, it starts the same in the beginning. This is George. He was a good little monkey, and he was very curious. And they always tell you about George and the man with the yellow hat from the very beginning, right? So all his books start out, most of his books, I'm not going to say all, most start out that way. George tried to wait, but was so excited. George said to the man, please wait here George said to the man, please wait while I buy the tickets. George tried to wait, but he was so excited. What was inside? Everywhere George goes seems to be a long line, and George becomes impatient. What about you, boys and girls? What happens to you when you're on a long line? Are you patient or are you impatient? What are some ways that you can become more patient? You can talk to the person you're with. You can keep your mind on something else, and you can think about what's going to happen when you get inside, that you're going to have a good time. Now, George was so impatient, he wanted to look over the walls, but they were too high. So you see him looking over that wall, trying to look over the wall. And the two kids are looking at him. Do you think George is going to make it? Yeah. What do you see in front of the wall? Take a good look. You see the tree, right? So you think George is going to use that tree? Just then he heard a splash and a whoosh. Water flew over into the air. People cheered. What could that be? George was curious. He hopped over the gate into the aquarium. How surprised he was. He did use the tree. So he used the tree, climbed on it, hopped over the wall, and he's over the wall and he sees the fishes in the large tank. So he was very surprised. Swimming right in front of George was what they call two beluga whales. Say that with me. Beluga. Say it again. Beluga. Now put it together. Beluga whales. The mother and baby beluga whales swam right past him. And not far away was a family of sea lions diving and splashing. What fun. George noticed people walk toward a big door. Could there be more to see? He followed the crowd. So far we see there are two beluga whales, and we see that there are a family of sea lions. So these are what they call sea lions. Now, where was he? It was darker inside, and there were fish everywhere. Remember, he's at an aquarium. George did not know where to look first. In one tank, there were sharp-toothed piranhas. In another tank, there were seahorses. Say it with me. Seahorses. Seahorses. And in another tank, there was a large red octopus. Say that with me. Octopus. So we've got all kinds of sea creatures, all kinds of animals that are found in the water. It's a lot of them, right? And they're all different colors too. George saw a group of children across the room. An aquarium staff member was pointing to a different sea creature. This is a starfish. This is a clam, and this is an urchin. Nearby, there was a long, low, colorful tank. It was perfect for touching. George was curious. Now, there's a sign that says don't touch, right? But George was curious. As he reached his hand into the water, a large crab came scuttling out from under a rock and right toward his finger. Snap! Ouch! Poor George. He did not like this exhibit. So boys and girls, when you see a sign that says do not touch, then don't touch. Because you can't see, it might be dangerous. And the crab came out and snapped at his finger, right? So when you see signs that say don't touch, don't touch. Follow the directions, because you want to be safe and we don't want you to get hurt. George slipped out a door into the sunlight, but oh, what was going on here? George saw fat, funny-looking black and white fish flying under the water. Black and white fish. He watched. They flew up out of the water. What kind of fish does that? And where did they go? George wondered. George climbed up and he could see the entire exhibit. See all of them? Remember, that's what we saw in the front of the book. And we said they were penguins, right? So now, inside the book, we can see a whole family of them. They're all on this ice cube that George is standing on top. They were not fish at all, but they're called penguins, of course. George hopped like a penguin, flapped his wings like a penguin, and waddled like a penguin. A crowd gathered and laughed, but when he slid on his belly like a penguin, so he was doing everything the penguins did. He flapped his arms, he jaggled his belly, and he walked like them. It's like a waddle. The aquarium staff stopped by to check on the penguins. A monkey in the penguin exhibit? George opened the door to escape, but instead all the penguins ran out. Penguins, penguins everywhere. So George was trying to get away. He opened the door and the penguins took off. Where do you think they went? Look at them. See them, boys and girls? They're running around with the kids. They're no longer in the water in their exhibit. They're outside of the exhibit. The staff was pretty angry at George. Now, how are we going to catch all these penguins? Boys and girls, can you take a guess? Who's going to help them catch the penguins? That's right, George. In all the excitement, nobody noticed the penguin chick falling into the water. No one but George. So the baby penguin hadn't learned to swim yet. So what George did, only as a monkey could, he scaled the rope hanging on to the beluga tank and swung over the water, and he saved the little baby chick. So he's swinging on that rope, and he went there and caught him because nobody else noticed. So he saved the day. He saved the little chick. The director of the aquarium and the man with the yellow hat heard the commotion, and they both came running. That monkey helped the baby penguin, said a boy in the crowd. No one else could have saved him, said a girl. The director thanked George for his help and made him an honorary staff member of the aquarium. So everybody was happy that George was able to save the baby penguin. Right? So George did a good thing. George said goodbye to his new penguin friends, and he could not wait to come back to the aquarium and visit them again. So remember, boys and girls, when you see a sign that says don't touch, please don't touch. If your parents tell you to be patient and wait, please work on being patient and wait for them to give you further instructions. See you next time.